Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in the United Kingdom, and I love making boxes and fun fold cards. So if you like that stuff, then do pop along to my YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button. So today is one of those little extra bags, and this is one that I've I came back because I'd got some plastic straws, not very environmentally friendly. They've been around since my kids were little. They're big chunky ones, and I just thought I wanted to use some of them up. So I seem to remember I've seen something like this a while ago, but it kind of reminded me of the shopping bags with the wooden handles on the top, and I just thought it was a great fun little gift box that you could, they're nice and sturdy. You can pop some tissue in the top with your little gift and you'd end up with a lovely little bag. And I was using the beautiful New Horizons DSP, which is absolutely stunning. Wasn't available for a while, but you can see it's all kind of ink technique. It's like salt background effect and watercolours, and you can see on the front it is just beautiful scenery, and on the back you've got these lovely textures. Make stunning cards really easy, and you can see you wouldn't need much to add those, but these are beautiful for stuff, adding extra detail onto the back as well. So lovely papers. They come in a 6x6 pack, and you get 4 each of the 12 designs. So yeah, absolutely stunning. I have to say, I'm kind of thinking I might just get an extra pack anyway because they're just beautiful. The sort of colours you've got in there, you've got lots of colours. I've written them on the front there, but you've got Blackberry Bliss, Bumblebee, Calypso Coral, Evening Evergreen, Fresh Freesia, Garden Green, Misty Moonlight, Old Olive, Pale Papaya, Polished Pink and Soft Succulent. And obviously on here I've used the Evening Evergreen and Polished Pink for the accents. And I thought the next paper I'd use is this beautiful one here. And you know, you've got this lovely, so all I've done is I've stamped and then just simply hand fussy cut some of the flowers and used the punch that goes with this, the flowers and leaves punch, to add those extra little flowers. But I say it's it's nice and sort of finished. You see here the sort of you know, it's really quite a sturdy little gift bag. So that's the colour I'm going to use now. So I'm going to do my stamping first, so that's nice and dry while I've finished it. I'm going to use, as I said, Blackberry Bliss. So this is 7.2 by 12.2. So you only get 2 fronts out of this. So this is going to be 7 centimetres by 12 centimetres. And obviously these extra bits are what I'm going to use for the flowers. Yeah, there we go. So that's what I'm going to do some stamping on. So I've got my stamp mounted up here. Oh, Flowers of Friendship. So this is the stamps I'm using, Flowers of Friendship, and these flowers and leaves here work with the flowers and leaves punch, and the great thing about that punch is the fact that it also coordinates with the sentimental swirls that obviously you see me using quite a bit as well. Really useful stamp set to be using. So if you get the punch, you've got 2 stamp sets that you could actually use that with. Here it is here, and you'll see cuts out the large and the small flower and the large and the small leaf. The only thing I would say is, you know, just when you punch them, you can stamp and punch each of these. I don't do the kind of lining up, doing it all in one go, because I like my flowers to be pink and my leaves to be green. So I will just cut a strip and then feed it in from the side to cut those out. So I'm going to stamp this. Actually, I might actually stamp it in the Blackberry Bliss, because I'm not going to be colouring it with anything. So I'm just inking that up really well with my Blackberry Bliss. And I'm just going to stamp that just towards the bottom there, leaving space for my sentiment. Then, while I've got my ink out, obviously I'm going to want each of these flowers, so I'm just going to stamp one there. And how am I going to do? I'm trying to be economical with my paper usage. There we go. If I just cut those away. So I've got my larger flower I've got my big flower there, and then I'm going to just do that little flower as well. Okay, and then I'm going to use my leaf with just a scrap that I had left over from my other card to do my get my words right, to do my leaves. And I'm also going to stamp some on garden green in case I haven't I'm actually going to stamp it on evening evergreen, not garden green at all. Garden green was left over from another project, but I might go for soft succulent instead actually, because I just think that'll tone better. So although I'll stamp in evening evergreen, so looking at how that's going to feed in, I'm going to feed it in from this end. So I'm just going to do a little row of leaves. So that gives me an extra one. If I do a fifth one, go, and then see how those work as well. And while I've got my Blackberry Bliss out, I'm just going to take a scrap of, this is actually some thick basic white I've got left over from another project I've been doing. I'm just going to ink that up. Love Blackberry Bliss. And I'm just going to punch that out with the Label Me Fancy. So this is a lovely punch, very useful. I'm just going to kind of make sure that that's in the centre there. Punch that out. And I'm actually going to punch a second one out of the middle of my layer. Okay, because that's going to be covered up and nobody's going to see it. There we go. So now that's my layer. That's going to be layered up. I'm going to cut out these leaves next. And there's my tag. So as I've said, all I'm going to do now is just feed each of those leaves in. And just move it through, lining up as I go along. Okay. And I'll just do these as well. If you're stuck with dexterity, you'll find it easier to just punch down on a flat surface. So just feed it in, line it up. And you can use the flat of your hand. You just might need to catch them a little bit as they go flying off. And you might want to use a bit of a post-it note. I'll leave it for that one. But just add a bit of post-it note, that'll help you manoeuvre it. Okay, so that's two of our punches. Now I have used a circle punch, although we don't sell them at Stampin' Up anymore. They're a staple that's available sort of anywhere. And that's because I know not everybody has I've got a large big shot. It's a bit more difficult to kind of manoeuvre it through and line it up. So I'll just show you how I use a punch to kind of get those lined up apertures. So here's my flower. And I'm just trimming stuff on there, as you can see. Try and clear some of the debris away, so we can see which are leaves and which are debris. I might actually do an extra flower to go on there. Let's see how the time goes. Now to kind of get the 3D effect, what I do is just grab my bone folder. You had a lovely shot of my arm there, and I just shape these slightly with my bone folder. You can see they're just curved. If you wanted to add a bit more colour to these, you could use a blender pen. Let me show you what I mean. If maybe a bit of black bliss. So if you wanted to, you could actually add a bit more colour to these, or you could add a bit of shine with Wink of Stella. Lots of different ways to kind of add some interest to these. And what I'm going to do is grab my small dimensionals, mini dimensionals, and I'm putting one in the top kind of centre of each of these. Then I'm using a dab of glue, which I've got just in a fine tip here, and I'm just putting a blob on the bottom there, like so. And then all you can do then is just pop that, and if you press down on the bottom of it, the dimensional keeps that top popped up and out, and the glue keeps the base in, so just gives it makes it a slightly more realistic flower. And the last one here. You can see how that's really popping up already. We can add our leaves again, sort of same kind of thing. Obviously they're really too small. I mean, you could add a little bit of dimensional on there if you wanted to, but I haven't on mine. So I'm just going to use two of the leaves that I've cut out of DSP and two out of soft succulent, and again on these I'm just going to put a blob on the bottom and then pop those on, just gluing it down at the bottom there. This one's actually a larger leaf at the bottom, so I'm going to just pop that there. Ooh. And just popping that on there. And then the last one. There. So those are my leaves. So just adding that little, it just adds a little bit of dimension to it, makes it slightly more realistic. And then to create our label, I will just grab my snips and I'm just lining up and cutting along where that little indentation is. And just pop that, a little bit of Tombow onto the label, and so I'm just over that middle section, like so. Okay. A couple of dimensionals again on the back. I can now go on there. And I'm just going to add a little adhesive around the edge of that before I put it onto that front panel. As I said, nobody's going to know that I've pinched that bit out of the middle there. Then popping it on a layer just gives it that little bit more, makes it a little bit more difficult to punch the circle out, so I'll tell you that, but you know, it's worth it. So there you go. So you could always trim it a little bit shorter if you wanted, and I'll show you why you might want to do that if you wanted to have it here, but I kind of wanted that panel to stretch up over the top. So let's get on with the box making part of it. You're going to want some standard basic white, and as usual I shall work in centimetres, and then I'll pop the inches onto my blog. Just works better, I think, for everybody if I'm not trying to juggle two lots of measurements. I'm using standard A4, so this is 21 centimetres wide. I'm just trimming the length down to 24 centimetres. And then on that long edge, I'm going to score it at 7.5, 11.5, 19, and 20, 23. Then turn it so that that small section comes down to the bottom and score at 4 centimetres. And then score the narrower sections at 12. So put it to 12 centimetres, and then you will find that there's this little section here, which you're just going to score, and then this bottom section, so from the bottom all the way, that's fine. And then at 16.5, you just want to score, in fact at 16.5, flip it over and score the big sections. Okay. I'll just help keep it a bit smoother at the top. Okay. So now we're going to do some trimming. So at the bottom here, we're going to trim away the small square, like so. And again, I'm going to trim this skinny section here, and I'm actually just going to come on the inside of that score line, almost taking like a little wedge out, because this bit's actually going to fold back down in. You're going to cut straight down the squares. In fact, if I show you kind of my template, this is the bit we're cutting here, and these are the bits that fold over. So you're going to cut straight down the sides of those larger sections. And the narrower sections, once you've cut straight down, just take a skinny wedge out of there. You could cut them away completely if you wanted to. I just decided to leave them in place just to strengthen the sides. And I'm just going to take about a couple of centimetres, about an inch probably, off the bottom there, because you won't see that right down at the very bottom. Okay, turn it again so that this smaller section is at the bottom, and cut up on all 4 score lines, nice and straight, and then just notch out on each side of those. Now obviously if you wanted to, that would be the time to stamp the side panels of these if you wanted to, but if you're not going to, as I'm not, just burnish those like so. Just fold over and run your bone folder over those. The ones you're not going to reinforce though are the ones on the top of those wider sections. So these ones, the narrow ones, are going to be burnished, and in fact you're going to glue those down. So just add some adhesive, like so. And the reason we've scored along these is because that's going to give our guide for where to punch our circle. And something to show, what you might just hopefully be able to see on my punch, I've actually put, you can see an indentation which is the middle, so I've marked on the outer edge just a middle on all 4 sides. So now when I come in, I'm going to measure the centre of these. So on that score line, I'm actually going to go at sort of, it's 7.5, which is an awkward one. I probably should have made it slightly bigger. So it's actually sort of 3.75. Just going to put a dot there on both of those. And then I'm just going to eyeball it. Apologies. What actually happened there was I knocked my camera off record. All I did was I lined up on those punches, on those lines, on the middle score line, lined at that point and punched through on both of those. Then what I did was I took my panel for the front, I measured the halfway point and did the same again. So I popped that in and just punched out the top section there. If you wanted to, what you could do is put it on the front and actually draw around where you want that line to be. And you might find that easier to do as well. And then all I'm going to do is just add some adhesive to this panel and pop that on the front section of my box. So the front section is the one that is sort of flanked by the sides, either side. As you can see, I'll just pop that in there, like so. And then while that is drying, as you can see, I'm going to sort of, this is going to come over here, and I've just got another one of these straws which I'm going to cut to about 7 centimetres, just under. You want 2 of those, and slightly narrow ones actually would be easier, I think. And I'm just going to add my Tombow to the inside section. So you're going to come up not quite to where that score line is, but you do want to make sure you kind of come all the way around. Pop the straw in and then just push that up to the top and line up those circles, like so. Same on this one, so pop that in and then use those circles to line up, and that's where you just need to kind of ease that a little bit round if it hasn't quite dried. I'm just pressing that down like so, and just make sure you've got the alignment there as well. And then it's as simple as just finishing gluing that edge up. So you can obviously use Seal Plus if you want to. I'm just going to run that up there, fold that over and line that up. And then the sides, you're just going to put a little bit of glue on the front there. And there we have a pair of fun straw handle boxes. They would look fabulous with a little gift with some tissue paper in the top there. Make a really pretty thank you gift. So I hope you enjoy making them. Have a go, let me know how you get on. Share some photos, you know, I can always pop them on my blog as well. Yeah, come back and see me again soon. And if you want to purchase any of the items, the flowers of friendship that you've seen there, any of the punches, pop along to my shop at heidismith.stampinup.net. Alternatively, in the description bar below this and on my blog, you'll find links to purchase the items from my shop. I really appreciate it when people do. I'm a little demo, so any support is gratefully received. And if you can hit the subscribe and like button, that would be really great. Thanks for watching. Come back again soon. Bye now.